Mark Rogers TV with our college football predictions, week 2. Again, the goal is 80% straight up, 60% against the spread. Look out for those confidence picks. Again, we were 21-9 in our confidence picks last season, and we got off to a good start there, picking Alabama to best Michigan by more than 2 touchdowns, and of course the Tide rolled in that one. Yes, look at our week 1 predictions. They were not good. 18-2 straight up, a lot of easy ones, of course, but 5-10 against the spread. We hope to do much better because 60% is the goal, and we've proven over the last 3 years that we can hit that goal or come very, very close. The disclaimer here, of course, those 30-plus point spreads are difficult to pick, so here we go. Alabama, Western Kentucky, Austin Peay and Virginia Tech, Louisville and Missouri State, also Grambling and TCU. No lines on those games. Go with a favorite to win outright. Let's get to the games that matter with USC taking on Syracuse. The Trojans, a 49-10 winner over Hawaii. They did drop in the polls to number 2 behind the Tide. Travel cross country and take on Syracuse. The Orange kept that game close for the first half last season at USC. So you've got the Orange coming off a 1-point heartbreaker against Northwestern, getting 26.5 against USC. Ryan Nassib threw for 427 yards last week. There was no comparison between these two teams, but Syracuse close to home, keeps it close enough, takes Syracuse and 26.5 against a bored USC team. Washington LSU, very interesting game here. The Huskies come down to SEC country. Of course, LSU is going to pound them up front. They're superior on defense. They did give up a couple big plays on defense against North Texas, but we like LSU to broaden the gap in the second half and take out Washington. Washington losing a running back and a key offensive lineman last week in their opening win. LSU takes advantage and causes havoc on defense in this one. LSU minus 24 in that one. Fresno State at Oregon. The Bulldogs a 35-point underdog, and let's not get confused. This is not Pat Hill's Fresno State team of the 2000 eras, the BCS busting group from Fresno. They get walloped at Oregon, but keep it within 35. Keep in mind the Ducks were lambasting Arkansas State last week. They took off the throttle, won it by 23. Likewise this week, Oregon beats Fresno State. Bulldogs plus the 35 in that one. Savannah State and Florida State. The most ridiculous line I've ever seen. We've researched it a little bit. Apparently, the largest line ever in a Division I game, 70.5 points given to Savannah State against Florida State. And before that sounds ridiculous, look up the Savannah State score if you haven't already from last week. Oklahoma State 84, Savannah State nothing. What do we do here? Well, we are committed to picking every top 25 game against the spread, so we do it here. And yeah, we take Savannah State with 70.5 points. You got to. Florida State won't play after 1 quarter, and I know their backups are much better than Savannah State. Their third-string guys better, but let's take the 70.5 points there. Okay, some more meaningful games here. This, a very intriguing matchup. Georgia at Missouri. The Bulldogs number 6 in the land. A 2-point favorite at Missouri. We're concerned here with Georgia's offensive line. But we think if the offensive line holds up, Georgia's got the weapons on the offense, especially with Aaron Murray at quarterback. And they've got a stout defense, even though they're missing possibly 2 of their best players, as we talked about earlier in our Georgia-Missouri preview. Check that out from a few days ago. Georgia missing 2 of its best defensive players. Still SEC caliber defense going on the road. We like Georgia to win the game outright and cover the 2 points at Missouri. Okay, we've got Louisiana Monroe at Arkansas. Hogs go wild. They covered the 30 points and win the football game. Eastern Carolina and South Carolina. The Pirates notoriously give BCS teams all kinds of problems. And of course, South Carolina had all kinds of problems disposing of Vanderbilt in week 1. But this South Carolina defense is stout, one of the top 10 in the country. They're at home. I believe that they'll be focused after the scare in Nashville, and we like South Carolina to pull away in what will be a tough game for about a half. Gamecocks win it and cover the 21 there. Michigan State, Central Michigan, and I know people weren't impressed. Michigan State defeating Boise State at home by 4. They go on the road and they take on Central Michigan in week 2. But the Spartans, if you watch the football game, very impressive on defense, gave up no touchdowns in the game, and Le'Veon Bell was amazing with 210 yards. If they get the passing game in order, and really they moved the ball through the air for about 250 yards, they just made mistakes in the passing game. So we like Andrew Maxwell with a game under his belt to light it up and make the plays in the passing game, and Michigan State wins and covers the 19 against Central Michigan. Ball State Clemson. Ball State ran for like 350 yards in a MAC game last week, and I know Clemson's way beyond that, and they've got all kinds of talent, and they're coming off a huge win against Auburn. But despite being at home, Clemson lets down in week 2 against Ball State. Ball State does have some offensive firepower, and they make the Clemson defense pay enough to cover 27.5 points. Of course, we go with the Tigers to win the football game handily. Wisconsin-Oregon State and the Badgers got a scare at home against Northern Iowa, and the odds makers have taken note of that. Wisconsin just a 7-point favorite at Oregon State. The Badgers get focused after the scare at home, go on the road against Oregon State. This will be a decent football game, but we like Wisconsin to roll late with a running game. Danny O'Brien to make the right choices in the passing game, and the defense, which looked bad at times against Northern Iowa, to step up and win this game by more than 7. Badgers minus the 7 against Oregon State. Ohio State, Central Florida. The Buckeyes really just a 15-point favorite when this line opened at the beginning of the week. It's gone out to 18 points. Ohio State did not look good on offense in the first quarter or defensively against Miami of Ohio. Kicked it into gear, won by 46. We expect more at home from the Buckeyes. This is a decent game because Central Florida's got athletes. Buckeyes cover the 18 barely at home against Central Florida. We've got Nebraska and UCLA. Okay, this one, a tough one. UCLA has an explosive offense, scored all sorts of points, 49 against Rice, gave up 24, though, in a lot of big plays. Nebraska surprised me in handling Southern Miss in the second half, winning that game by 29. Nebraska, though, Taylor Martinez, predictable at quarterback. We don't expect him to ever throw 5 touchdown passes again in a game. And the defense, going to be down from last season. I still think Nebraska is slightly overrated. They go to UCLA and they squeak out a win. Take UCLA plus the 6. Huskers win the game. Texas at home against New Mexico. New Mexico comes in with Bob Davie. Bob Davie, the old Notre Dame coach, ESPN analyst, coaching New Mexico now. He's got 38 points, and he's coming off a win against Southern, in which his team ran for like 350 yards, and apparently he's going to run close to a wishbone against Texas. That won't work. The Longhorns, not very impressive against Wyoming, but they've got a talented defense, one of the best in the country. They lay the clamps down, but 38 points, got to go New Mexico with that kind of point total. Oklahoma State, Arizona, these teams have played twice in the past few years, and Arizona keeps throttling, or rather, Oklahoma State keeps throttling Arizona, and they do it again in this one. They go out to Rich Rodriguez' home, and they lay waste to Arizona in the second half. Close game for a while, but the Cowboys, too much outside speed and talent on offense, win it by more than 11. Michigan Air Force, and of course the Wolverines have to be embarrassed by what happened in the kickoff classic against Alabama. Air Force comes in, and we've got Michigan at home getting things together and winning this game and covering 20 points. Okay, Kansas State and Miami. The Hurricanes lost to K-State, and this was really the Wildcats' coming out party last season, which led to their 9 victories as they surprised Miami in South Florida. Now Miami goes to Kansas State. Miami with more talent across the board, but K-State plays as a team. They win close games. They're tougher. They're mentally tougher. K-State wins a close game. So take Miami plus the 7. K-State wins the game. We also have Purdue and Notre Dame, a game we previewed here on Mark Rogers TV a few days ago. This is an interesting one because if you're looking at athleticism, speed, ability across the board, Purdue just maybe a step behind Notre Dame. What could really cost Purdue in this game is Notre Dame much tougher and stronger in the trenches. Still, we think Purdue can make enough plays in the passing game against a thin Notre Dame secondary inexperienced at quarterback with Everett Golson. So Notre Dame wins at home against Purdue. Boilers cover the 14 points. 2 more to go with another interesting SEC matchup with a newcomer coming in, Texas A&M hosting Florida. Wow. Texas A&M with a new quarterback. This is their first game. They didn't get the Louisiana Tech game. It was wiped out by Tropical Storm Isaac. So the Gators not looking good on offense, in particular against Bowling Green, not getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback in that game. Now go to A&M, where you've got inexperience at quarterback, but a great offensive line and weapons all over the place, led by Ryan Swope with 89 catches last season. We like A&M to win. We'll take the point as well. A&M wins +1. And finally, Duke-Stanford. Andrew Luck at Duke last year, 44-14 win for the Cardinal, but they open up against San Jose State, barely squeak out a win. Duke, though, in the midst of defeating Coastal Carolina last week, gave up tons of yardage. So we like Stanford with great linebackers, the running back, the wide receivers are strong, the offensive line very good at Stanford. Josh Nunes at quarterback, now with a game under his belt. We like Stanford to win it and cover 15 against Duke at home. There you go. Those are the picks. Would love to hear what you have to say. Make your picks on Mark Rogers TV.